Hey, how's it going? Today, we're gonna do some end busting, and we're gonna start figuring out our path to our new mining colony. I also kind of want to review the area where we're gonna build the colony, and think about how we want to do the terraforming, and maybe get started on a little bit of that today. But right now, all we need in the end dimension is, I want to get 2 elytras, 1 as a backup, and then we also need to get at least a decent little stockpile of shulker boxes. Is that Enderman mad at me? Okay, careful where you F5 in the end dimension. Guy was very upset. Yeah, anyway, we need to get 2 elytras, 1 to get around and 1 just as a backup. Probably should have brought more blocks, actually, in hindsight, but I don't want to go back to the base, so we're just gonna mine some endstone when we get in here. Well, oopsies. If you don't know, you can ender pearl into these, but it's also just kind of a nifty little trick to put a trapdoor above it. Then it just kind of puts you into swim mode, and then boom, you're through. Just like that. All right, let's explore.
Tempted, I was tempted, tempted by your smile. I was tempted, and for a little while I was certain that I will be the one to change you, and you will be mine. You will be mine. I was tempted, empty, tempted.
And there it is. 1 elytra, fully enchanted with Unbreaking 3 and Mending, and 1 backup, which I'm not going to enchant yet because I don't have that many books, and I don't feel like going through the effort to get it enchanted. It's only for in case of emergency anyway, and I actually don't even plan on wearing either of them right now, if I'm being honest. So I'm actually just going to put them both right there in our ender chest, and we're not going to carry an ender chest because we're starting to get geared up enough that we can do something like that. Which is why, so like, everybody in Minecraft kind of has their own inventory management scheme. This is a pretty common one, so I just carry my ender chest around, and then I put shulkers in it, obviously, and I keep my fortune pickaxe in there as well. Then things like the hoe, which we're pulling out pretty frequently to get things like saplings. We need to get a silk touch hoe as well so that we can gather leaves much more efficiently. Especially going forward where we want to do a lot more greenery work. I know I just said I'm putting this away, but actually now that I think about it, I think we're going to get our first use case out of this thing. That is going to be to get a moss block. We're just going to fly around until we find a shipwreck in the ocean, and then hopefully loot it and get a moss block. Once we have a moss block, we kind of have everything we need to get started in our new city. Then we'll start working on the pathway. And there it is. We got our moss block. We also found a buried treasure map and a couple coastal trims, I think, but those are less important. This is the thing we needed. There was literally 1 moss block. It was the first shipwreck we found though, so pretty good luck. And with 1 moss block, we can create more moss blocks. So I'm actually gonna run down into the mine real quick and just kind of spread this with some bone meal and just get ourselves a decent little stockpile. And then as soon as I'm done with that, I'll check back in because I think it's time to get our horse. Got our saddle, a lead, and I brought diamond horse armor. I'm curious if the resource pack that I'm using will hide horse armor as well. I'm guessing it won't, but I just want to know for sure. That would be nice because I would like to have a good looking horse as well as a fast and jump high horse, which, you know, how likely is it we can find a horse that does all 3 things? I don't know, but that's what we're going to try to do. Will this spread into the wall? It won't. Okay, so this is a don't do this. This is a bad idea. Let's go back up to the surface, I guess. Did we get any moss carpets? Yeah, been waiting to do this since like what? When did we build Greg's Tavern? I think we built Greg's Tavern on like episode 3, and we had those annoying wood planks that I wanted to cover with a moss carpet. Well, we finally have one, and we learned how not to farm moss. So I guess we'll just kind of go out away from the house a little bit and dig a little hole in the ground. It's probably the best way to do it. Right. That one I think we're gonna leave because it at least kind of blends in with the path block. But this one, this bush is ugly, first of all. I didn't want it to spread this far. I think if we just do that, and just like that, it blends right in. Is 2 too many? to blend some of the cobblestone too? I don't think so. I think that'll work. And then maybe one there too. Oh, there we go. It's subtle. I don't know if I love it, but it's definitely an upgrade, I think. All right, let's go farm up some moss real quick, and then we're gonna tame a horse. All right, we got our elytra wings. We got our moss checked off. Now the last thing we need before we start our journey across the plains is a solid horse. I know there's quite a few of them over here. There's not really a style or a pattern that I prefer over any other. Again, I just would really prefer one that can jump reasonably high and run reasonably fast. We're not going for the best horse in the game right now because, you know, it's really luck of the draw unless you're going to spend a lot of time breeding them. We've got a path to build. I have seen this one in the distance though, and it's weird. It almost looks, doesn't it almost look like one of the skeleton horses? Like I keep double taking on it because it's just such a weird color and pattern. So let's give it a shot. Oh crap, are we supposed to feed them? Right? No, you just ride them, right? Yeah, you just jump. Just can't be holding the saddle. Well, it's certainly a stubborn horse. There it is. There it is. Oh, that feels pretty fast. Is that like a 1 block jump? Is that even 2 blocks? Oh no. Can't even jump out of a fence. Yeah, a perfect jump. Like if you get it in like the little yellow on the little meter down there, it can just clear 2 blocks. That's not great, but it is very fast, I think. So give me the saddle back. Oh, we should have made a fence post. Crafting table number 739, just so we remember who you are and where you are. Solid contender. We don't have a lot of jumping and we're gonna build roads and bridges, so I don't think the jump is as important, but we'll try a couple more and see if we can get one that's a little more versatile. You're the closest to the tavern. I probably should have tried this one first, but I really like the looks of that white one, and it is fast. So, oh, you can't be holding. It's annoying. It's like I'm not trying to feed the horse steak. I'm not a monster. Very slow, and you can't jump. I'll let you live for now because I do think wild horses in the plains is just a good aesthetic. But if we get a little too confused after jumping on a few of these guys, we might have to thin the herd some. All right, decently fast. Definitely not as fast as the white one. Is that even jumping? Maybe I just don't know what I'm talking about with the jumping. I thought horses could jump like 4 blocks if they were like a good jump. Yeah, this guy can't even clear 2 blocks. Okay, you're even worse. All right, we'll get the other solid brown horse next, and then we'll do the other piebald horse. Again, slower than the first horse, and I think it's the same jump. Now I'm starting to wonder if a 2 block jump is acceptable, or am I just getting like crazy bad luck on these horses? I actually kind of like this red color. I think I just said that I was going to do the other piebald next, but kind of like this like maroon, especially with a saddle on him. I think it'll look pretty good. Decently fast. That jump seemed whelming. Yeah, he's a better jumper. I don't know if he's quite as fast though. I think I'm more worried about speed. Yeah, he's pretty slow. I don't know why my initial reaction there was that his speed was fine, because this actually seems pretty slow. Oh, this one was the easiest to train. Oh, very slow. All right, sorry. We'll ride him over though. Save ourselves some food. And notice this horse has 1 extra heart. I don't remember if this guy had extra health or not. Is health also a stat on horses? The more you know. Nope, this guy has less hearts. Oh, that's kind of annoying. But if he's significantly faster, oh yeah. It's just night and day. All right, this is our steed. Oh yeah, real quick, let's see if the armor is not hidden on him. What's it look like though? It's not bad. It's weird, like, is his coat showing through that at all? Or is that just the shading on the diamond armor? I don't think I've ever seen that before, like, in person, but especially with his lower hearts, I think we're gonna have to keep the armor on. I also have never tried to enchant horse armor. Can you enchant horse armor? Might have to go do some science real quick. Oh, this is gonna be nice. Check out our path on a horse. Seems like it's totally horseable. That was the goal when I came through here before. All right, can I saddle him up or do you have to get off? Then leash horse. Man, yeah, I have not touched horses that much. That's probably pretty obvious at this point in the video, but I think I'm gonna like it though, because I don't know. You build all these beautiful paths, you gotta use them. And this one that we're about to build between the mining colony and the woodcutter village is gonna be pretty significant. Oh, that reminds me, we need to come up with names for these towns. I'm not gonna rush to one, and I'm also not gonna guarantee that I will use a suggestion. But if you have one, I'm more than willing to accept submissions. But it's gotta fit and it's gotta feel right in my world, right? All right, we've got everything we need. We've got our mighty steed, a shovel to make the pass, and a bed to rest along the way. Let's start planning out this pathway between the 2 cities. There's got to be a better system for picking these leads up. That's all right. I'm sure that we'll figure it out. It's just like if I break a lead, I probably want to hold it, right? Is that not obvious? All right, what we're gonna do for this first run through is I kind of want to just get like a general feel. Luckily our horsey here is pretty fast. So it's going to wrap just to the outside of this bowl on the edge of the forest. We might expand this out slightly, like this little pathway that runs. We'll probably cut this one tree down too, for sure. And then level this out just enough for like a 3-wide path. But I don't want a straight shot to the cliff. I kind of want to curve through the valley because I think someday we'll build over on that way as well. And it would be nice to have an intersection somewhere here in the middle. And as I was kind of talking about earlier, I don't like my paths to be too straight because then you can see your destination and then it kind of like shows you how close it is, which to me kind of breaks the feeling of traveling down a path. So anyway, we're going to curve through here. We're going to follow this little nice natural ridge here. We'll curve towards these kind of like U-shape here opening in the mountains. We'll level some of this out, but it's supposed to be a rough path. Like this is too big of a slope and this is like too big of a little valley. And then we'll curve around slightly, just enough that when you're coming down it, again, you can't see straight to it. And then this is actually going to be a walled colony, I think. And I'm starting to work up some plans for that. And I want to like integrate some iron farms into it, into the wall itself. So look forward to that. Probably next episode. So we'll probably actually build like the walls and the fence gate opening just to give us kind of a feel for the size of the city or the colony. But yeah, so here is our destination. We'll curve slightly back, hopefully not fall down any ravines with our horse. Curve slightly back, just enough to break the sightline. I guess it'll be a little bit weird because you can, like when we build this path up, coming back towards the woodcutter village, you can see the backsides of these houses. I may have to put just a little bit more tree cover there on the ridge. And I realize that these are actually closer than I originally anticipated, but I kind of like that. It'll make it feel like more of a tight-knit world, I think. So I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. And there's supposed to be 2 builds that are like in the same universe, right? So they're not going to be so disjointed that they look weird next to each other. They're supposed to be, you know, people that interact with each other. So I'm going to start kind of carving out a little basic path, and then when I have, you know, the basic path blocks in, I might throw some fences and maybe even plant a couple saplings. I'll check back in with you. We're actually going to leave our horse here. Turns out we didn't need a bed because it's not actually that far. But it felt appropriate to bring ourselves a nice little bed and get ourselves all set up for a journey like it was going to be a cowboy sleeping on the range between the villages. Anyway, I'll get some basic stuff thrown down and then check back in. Okay, so here's our initial path. What am I? Oh, our lead was still attached. Oops. Oh, well, at least it makes a noise, so we didn't lose it. Oh, professional horse rider here. All right, so here's our initial path. Kind of as I talked about, we took that one tree out and just kind of snake along the forest here, which I think is, you know, a cool effect. Especially coming back towards the woodcutting village, I actually think this pathway works perfectly. Because you kind of round the corner. I'll actually build this knoll up a little bit, I think, just to obscure a little bit more of your view. And then you round the corner and you kind of see the back corner of Greg's, but you see this first cabin. And then you kind of come down the street into the town, right? And you're like, oh, just some houses. And then finally, Greg's Tavern, big building sitting here. And then finally, Rita's general store. So yeah, we rack back around this way. As I kind of said, we rotate away from the thing. I'm obviously going to make the paths wider and decorate them, but I just wanted to get kind of a feel for what this was going to look like. I actually think instead of leveling the ground out here, I'll do some kind of little bridge. It's always nice to have some bridges in your pathways and stuff, just adds a little bit more character. And that's kind of the best opportunity to put one through here. I was going to bend this out this way a little bit more, but it felt, I don't know, it felt too arbitrary, or I don't know. It felt more right to kind of hug the terrain here. It steps down a couple levels, and then felt like when we were approaching the gate to the city, I want to be coming at the gates of the mining colony from like a pretty decent angle. And I felt like we were going to be coming in kind of almost sideways into the mining colony, which I did not want. It's a short little journey, but it's reasonably far enough that, you know, it's in the distance but not connected. I think the final thing that we're going to do this episode, because it's just really hard to get a vision for what this thing's going to be, I think the best way that we can really kind of get our footprint down and get an understanding of what this colony is going to look like is to do some pretty serious terraforming. This thing is full of holes. There's a little cave down here. The mountain has this weird, I don't know, obstacle up here. I want to close these gaps in and make it more of a solid face, and I'm probably going to round the top off. It's a little bit too flat right now. I'd like to get rid of the diorite, probably get rid of some of the dirt. It's a very dirt heavy hillside, which is kind of strange, but like the shape of this is much nicer. Of course, this is also dirt, but yeah, just going to do a little bit of terraforming just so that we can kind of get a vision for what this thing might look like. A lot of it's going to be taking this level down to give us more cliff face, and then bringing some of these lower lying areas up. I like the idea of coming into the colony and the gate kind of being the lower portion, and then you kind of walk up towards the upper buildings, and then the actual mine entrance, you know, it's the whole basis of the colony, right? So the mine entrance will be pretty epic probably at some point somewhere in the side of this cliff face. Let's get to digging a whole bunch of dirt and patching up some holes. Okay, so we didn't get far enough to actually start patching up the holes and working on the mountain itself, but I did get enough done that I think we can kind of get a feel for the size and the shape of this colony. So again, it's not a massive city. It's kind of like a really tight-knit, fortified maybe isn't the right word, but it is a very like structurally sound. So it's a lot of stone and very square, industrial also is not probably the right word. I don't really know the word for it, I guess. But anyway, very sturdy looking buildings. Something of that nature. But here's the general shape and layout. So the walls are going to be mostly straight with one little kind of L just to give it so it's not a big square. We're just going to take one little chunk. These pillars are not laid out in spacing either. I probably should have made these on 5s or 3s spacing to really nail where the wall is going to turn. Because based on my wall design, you know, this could end up, you know, if each segment of my wall is 5 blocks wide, I probably should have planned ahead so that it actually landed where I wanted it to. So we may need to re-terraform a little bit more in the future, but this gives us a good base to paint on. You can see here I've kind of rudimentary put in what I would say is like the gate towers that will sit on either side of our main gate. I think this is going to be your main entrance. The road will kind of curve around, kind of come across the face so you get like a nice shot of the walls, and then you'll slope up to this main gate. I'll probably extend the land out here more so that it's not so steep right at the gate. Yeah. This is our general shape and layout of our mining colony. I think that this is going to be a significant amount of work for the like rock face and then getting our mine entrance figured out. So I don't think we're going to get to that this episode. And the next episode, I really want to focus on getting the wall started. I don't know that we'll be able to build the whole thing because it's just a lot of blocks, but I want to at least get like the gates and this segment here complete, at least this face, and then maybe just start the L, and then we'll finish that maybe in future episodes when we have time or downtime. But I don't want to get too bored just building boring wall over and over and over again. Is that a villager? What is he doing? I mean, there is a village just around the corner here that we visited, but are there buildings up on top? Huh. Anyway, our cliffhanger over there, just doing his own thing, I guess. So yeah, here it is. This is a good size, good shape. It's maybe slightly smaller than my brain was picturing, but I want to be able to like really fill the interior walls of this thing. So I want to be able to pack buildings pretty close to the wall. I mean, there's going to be alleyways that walk along, and I think we're going to integrate the actual iron farm that is going to be generating our iron for this colony into these two main gates. So I need the area around them to be golem proof. So there will probably end up being like a little courtyard entrance here where you kind of walk in and it's kind of open. And then as you kind of press away from the main gate, then you start walking into like alleyways. There'll be a main path here that kind of zigzags. That's what I was kind of trying to figure out here. Again, with my paths, like I was saying earlier, I like to have not straight shots. So I don't want to be able to see the massive mining entrance right when you walk in the gate. I think it'll be more interesting if there's like builds obscuring it. So you kind of follow the path through the town, you come down the main street, and then when you turn the corner, boom, there it is. There's your big opening. We're gonna fill that backside in too, obviously. We still have a lot of work to do on the mountain. I wish it was a little bit better base of a mountain. It's gonna be a decent amount of terraforming to get it to look how I think I want it to. But The area is definitely good, and I want to be close-ish to Greg's Tavern and our woodcutting village. So yeah, I think that's about all we have time for this episode. Next episode, we make the iron farms, we work a little bit on terraforming the mountain, and we start putting some walls in. You made it this far in the episode. I appreciate you. Thanks for sticking around. Have a good one.